tourism. Tourism makes up about 6% of the country's economy. Thailand was the most visited country in Southeast Asia in 2013 according to the World Tourism Organization. Estimates of tourism receipts directly contributing to the Thai GDP of 12 trillion baht range from 9%, 1 trillion baht, 2013, to 16%, 141. When including the indirect effects of tourism, it is said to account for 20.2%, 2.4 trillion baht, of Thailand's GDP. 142. Asian tourists primarily visit Thailand for Bangkok and the historical, natural, and cultural sites in its vicinity. Western tourists not only visit Bangkok and surroundings, but in addition many travel to the southern beaches and islands. The north is the chief destination for trekking and adventure travel with its diverse ethnic minority groups and forested mountains. The region hosting the fewest tourists is Isan. To accommodate foreign visitors, a separate tourism police with offices were set up in the major tourist areas and an emergency telephone number. 143. Thailand ranks 5th biggest medical tourism destination of inbound medical tourism spending, according to World Travel and Tourism Council, attracting over 2.5 million visitors in 2018. 144. The country is also Asia's number 1. 145. The country is popular for the growing practice of sex reassignment surgery, SRS, and cosmetic surgery. In 2010-2012, more than 90% of medical tourists traveled to Thailand for SRS. 146. Prostitution in Thailand and sex tourism also form a de facto part of the economy. Campaigns promote Thailand as exotic to attract tourists. 147. One estimate published in 2003 placed the trade at $4.3 billion per year, or about 3% of the economy. 148. It is believed that at least 10% of tourist dollars are spent on the sex trade. 149. Agriculture and natural resources. Thailand has long been one of the largest rice importers in the world. 49% of Thailand's labor force is employed in agriculture. 150. 49% of Thailand's labor force is employed in agriculture. 150. This is down from 70% in 1980. 150. Rice is the most important crop in the country, and Thailand had long been the world's leading exporter of rice, until recently falling behind both India and Vietnam. 151. Thailand has the highest percentage of arable land, 27.25%, of any nation in the Greater Mekong sub-region. 152. About 55% of the arable land area is used for rice production. 153. Agriculture has been experiencing a transition from labor-intensive and transitional methods to a more industrialized and competitive sector. 150. Between 1962 and 1983, the agricultural sector grew by 4.1% per year on average and continued to grow at 2.2% between 1983 and 2007. 150. The relative contribution of agriculture to GDP has declined while exports of goods and services have increased. Furthermore, access to biocapacity in Thailand is lower than world average. In 2016, Thailand had 1.2 global hectares, 154, of biocapacity per person within its territory, a little less than world average of 1.6 global hectares per person. 155. In contrast, in 2016, They used 2.5 global hectares of biocapacity, their ecological footprint of consumption. This means they use about twice as much biocapacity as Thailand contains. As a result, Thailand is running a biocapacity deficit. 154. Informal economy. Thailand has a diverse and robust informal labor sector. In 2012, it was estimated that informal workers comprised 62.6% of the Thai workforce. The Ministry of Labor defines informal workers to be individuals who work in informal economies and do not have employee status under a given country's Labor Protection Act, LPA. The informal sector in Thailand has grown significantly over the past 60 years over the course of Thailand's gradual transition from an agriculture-based economy to becoming more industrialized and service-oriented. 156. Between 1993 and 1995, 10% of the Thai labor force moved from the agricultural sector to urban and industrial jobs, especially in the manufacturing sector. It is estimated that between 1988 and 1995, the number of factory workers in the country doubled from 2 to 4 million, as Thailand's GDP tripled. 157. While the Asian financial crisis that followed in 1997 hit the Thai economy hard, the industrial sector continued to expand under widespread deregulation, as Thailand was mandated to adopt a range of structural adjustment reforms upon receiving funding from the IMF and World Bank. These reforms implemented an agenda of increased privatization and trade liberalization in the country, and decreased federal subsidization of public goods and utilities, agricultural price supports, and regulations on fair wages and labor conditions. 158. These changes put further pressure on the agricultural sector, and prompted continued migration from the rural countryside to the growing cities. Many migrant farmers found work in Thailand's growing manufacturing industry and took jobs in sweatshop and factories with few labor regulations and often exploitative conditions. 159. Those that could not find formal factory work, including illegal migrants and the families of rural Thai migrants that followed their relatives to the urban centers, turned to the informal sector to provide the extra support needed for survival under the widespread regulation imposed by the structural adjustment programs. One family member working in a factory or sweatshop made very little. Scholars argue that the economic consequences and social costs of Thailand's labor reforms in the wake of the 1997 Asian financial crisis fell on individuals and families rather than the state. This can be described as the externalization of market risk, meaning that as the country's labor market became increasingly deregulated, the burden and responsibility of providing an adequate livelihood shifted from employers and the state to few workers themselves, whose families had to find jobs in the informal sector to make up for the losses and subsidize the wages being made by their relatives in the formal sector. The weight of these economic changes hit migrants and the urban poor especially hard, and the informal sector expanded rapidly as a result. 158. Today, informal labor in Thailand is typically broken down into three main groups: subcontracted /self-employed /home-based workers, service workers, including those that are employed in restaurants, as street vendors, masseuses, taxi drivers, and as domestic workers, and agricultural workers. Not included in these categories are those that work in entertainment, nightlife, and the sex industry. Individuals employed in these facets of the informal labor sector face additional vulnerabilities, including recruitment into circles of sexual exploitation and human trafficking. 156. In general, education levels are low in the informal sector. A 2012 study found that 64% of informal workers had not completed education beyond primary school. Many informal workers are also migrants, only some of which have legal status in the country. Education and citizenship are two main barriers to entry for those looking to work in formal industries, and enjoy the labor protections and social security benefits that come along with formal employment. Because the informal labor sector is not recognized under the Labor Protection Act, LPA, informal workers are much more vulnerable labor to exploitation and unsafe working conditions than those employed in more formal and federally recognized industries. While some Thai labor laws provide minimal protections to domestic and agricultural workers, they are often weak and difficult to enforce. Furthermore, Thai social security policies fail to protect against the risks many informal workers face, including workplace accidents and compensation, as well as unemployment and retirement insurance. Many informal workers are not legally contracted for their employment, and many do not make a living wage. 156. Tens of thousands of migrants from neighboring countries face exploitation in a few industries. 160, especially in fishing, where slave-like conditions have been reported. 161. Science and technology. Scientists are working in the lab. Numerous Thai scientists have made significant contributions in various fields of science and technology. Examples include Krisen II, who is known as the gypsy pharmacist for her development of the first generic HIV cocktail drug known as GPOVIR. 162. 163. Her efforts have significantly reduced treatment costs.
Yes, break. Now we are in Thailand and Bangkok, and the power is low, and we have a flight to Sydney in Australia in 10 minutes. Maybe do that, but then it's 3:20. That's me. Let's get some cola. We need to charge the camcorder. So I think we should do that now. Charge the camcorder 10 minutes, then could maybe record departure to Sydney, I don't know, or just go to bed.